away.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Trudging Tuesday. Uh-oh, you saw the white part of my... I clearly didn't put the camera in the right place. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day. I'll just say I have some people that are kind of ticking me off. People are accusing me of making money off of AA. Let me tell you something about my bank account. There ain't nothing in it. The only money in there is the money that my wife put in there so that I could survive while she was out of town, taking care of her dad who's dying on his deathbed. But we don't think of that stuff. You know, I started a meeting and I do a lot for it. And I don't think anybody likes being accused of something they are not doing. Yeah. There are types of people out there, well, sometimes they'll get into mode. And I know this because I've been there myself. I had 2-3 years under their belt. And they start to get a little too big for their britches. Start telling everybody what to do, how to do it. So, if you want to give people shit about running a meeting, try starting your own. Try starting your own. All right. So, today we're talking about entering a new dimension. We're going to be in, what book are we going to end up in here? It Comes of Age. Wasn't a hard one to remember, but yeah. So, all right, let's get this stuff going. All right, now let's just go ahead and get to the jokes. I got that off my chest. Yeah, nobody likes being accused of something they're not doing. And I'm not making money off of AA. In fact, I do a lot. I do so much for AA and don't talk about it. It's ridiculous. So no, I don't like it when people think that they can come after me and do these other things. No, I'm not okay with it. Okay. So if you're going to accuse me, then you best bring your receipts. You best bring your receipts. Okay. See, I'm also human. Do you know what I do? I make mistakes. I'm very transparent about it. I do what I can. But when I'm talking with somebody and they do nothing but change my words around to fit whatever their agenda is, it's kind of hard to take care of. And I can tell you what it's about. See, it's always about the money. It's about the money. And what's funny is these people have never donated a dime. They don't even share. They don't help at all. So if you're not participating, if you're not being a part of, you don't really get to do, you know. Did anybody think maybe giving me some help? How about that side? Instead of complaining, help me pick up the pieces. Give me suggestions. Say, hey, if you do it this way, it'd be a lot easier for you. Instead of condemning me, try lifting a finger and helping a little bit. God's sakes. All right. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. And people are just pissing me off today. If you're here, please say hello. Whether you're watching live or the rewatch, you know what time it is. It's time for Dion's Daily Funnies. I'm not feeling very funny, but maybe this will help me out. All right. Dad, when he puts the car in reverse, this takes me back. Yeah. What do you call the security guards for Samsung? Guardians of the Galaxy. That's actually a pretty good one. How much does a chimney cost? Nothing. It's on the house. One more. I was making a joke about retirement. It didn't work. Oh, I got to do one more. I do one more. All right. The other day, I bought a thesaurus, but when I got home and opened it, all the pages were blank. I have no word to describe how angry I am. That was a good one. All right. So what we're going to do, because we're going to end up in AA Comes of Age 52, 52 for anybody, if you want to read that book. I'm going to do the reflection first. All right. And it is not today's daily reflection. It is the daily reflection from April 29th, because you're going to be slammed with the 11th step this month. So I figure I go outside of that. All right. So this is going to be meditation month. It's also gratitude month. All right. And believe it or not, you may not know this, but gratitude month was started by AA. It was. Now it's all over the world. People that don't even like AA celebrate gratitude month. That's what we do here. Whether you like us or not, we're still going to try and make things better. Whether you like me or not, I'm still going to try and save your child. I'm going to do it. All right. All right. In the late stages of our drinking, the will to resist has fled. Yet when we admit complete defeat and when we become entirely ready, we become entirely ready to try AA's principles, our obsession leaves us and we enter a new dimension, freedom under God as we understand him. All right. So what are we kind of calling that? Well, it's, I would probably call it the gift of desperation. Does that make sense? Gift of desperation. And it's this gift that helps us find our higher power. Right? It's where I found my higher power, through the gift of desperation. I don't know that I had many choices left. I didn't. There were choices. I could drink and go on to the bitter end. I could do that. I could continue going to jails and asylums and hurting my family and all those other things, but I wasn't willing to do that anymore. No. I'm fortunate enough to be among the ones who have had this awesome transformation in my life. When I entered the doors of AA alone and desperate, I had been beaten into willingness to believe anything I heard. One of the things I heard was, this could be your last hangover, or you can keep going around and round. I was told that. I was told that I was a chronic relapser. So I was told that a lot. And obviously I wasn't listening. Sorry, Dion, this could be your last hangover. Nah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and suffer some more. All right. I think I'll just go suffer some more. The man who said this obviously was a whole lot better off than I. I like the idea of admitting defeat, and I've been free ever since. My heart heard what my mind never could. Being powerless over alcohol is no big deal. I'm free and I'm grateful. All right, now we're gonna go to AA Comes of Age, and you'll probably hear some repeating, because we just kind of read it too. All right, AA Comes of Age, page 52, for anybody that would like to follow along. Should have prepared it. I'm not as familiar with this book, so. Recovery, the first legacy. Ooh. All right, so If you are following along, we are starting at the top of page 52 with the first full paragraph. It is traditional in Alcoholics Anonymous that we do not make speeches. We just talk about our own experiences, about the experience of those around us. My talk will be no exception. I'm presuming this is Bill, since he wrote everything, right? He didn't write everything. There's a lot of good books out there. Like Chuck C., A New Pair of Glasses. Great book. It was written quite some time ago, but man, it still applies. Chuck C., New Pair of Glasses. Great book. All right. About the middle of summer in 1934, I lay in Charles B. Towns Hospital, Central Park West. I'd been there before. I had met dear old Dr. Silkworth. He had thought at one time that I might recover, but I steadily gone downhill, and now I lay upstairs in the hospital, knowing for the first time that I was utterly hopeless. I think we've all felt that. Laying, you ever been laying in the hospital room, waiting for them to bring you your Ativan so you can at least try and calm down, or wishing you could get out of there so you could go have a drink. It can be embarrassing. It's really hard to go through. People walking by looking at you, you know. All right. Lois was downstairs, and this kind old doctor was trying to give his gentle way to tell her the bad news that so many wives and husbands have received. He was trying to tell her what was wrong with me and that I was hopeless. And Lois was exclaiming, "But Bill has a tremendous amount of willpower. You have never seen such an obstinate man when he sets his heart on something. He has tried desperately to get well. We have tried everything. Doctor, why can't he stop?" The gentle little man explained that my drinking, once a habit, had become an obsession, a true insanity that condemned me to drink against my will. And she said, "Doctor, what can we do?" So he had to tell her that I would have to be locked up or go mad or die. These used to be our options, right? Now, there were some other groups that were already formed at this time. There was the Oxford group, the Washingtonians, and these people would do what they could to help out. Absolutely, they would. In fact, it wasn't for Oxford group, then Ebby wouldn't have gotten sober, and then Ebby wouldn't have, if Roland wouldn't have gone to, Dr. Young and figured out the spiritual experience, if a lot of things didn't happen, none of this stuff would be here for us. I find that it's divinely inspired. Yeah. But back then, these were the options. Could you imagine being Dr. Silkworth and going through this? He got in the field to help people, but alcoholics don't like to be helped, do we? Not until it's time. So could you imagine Dr. Silkworth's relief when an answer was presented to him that worked? Upstairs, I knew the story. It was the end of a long road. For the benefit of our friend who may not yet know about how alcoholics get that way, let me go back in time when I was a child, the time when I acquired some of the traits that had to do a lot with my insatiable craving for alcohol. And that's the other thing, and it gets confusing. We have willpower for a lot of things. When an alcoholic sets their mind to something, oh man, we do not stop, especially if it's alcohol, right? Look at the obsession for alcohol and how obstinate we got. Yeah. Right. See, I have willpower for a lot of other things. I was able to stay away from hard drugs and stuff. Yeah. There was a part of me that wanted to do it. I wanted to experience, but I just knew. I'm like, yeah, Dion, you do crack once and it's over with. It's over with. Right. Yeah, I tend to like anything that makes me feel good. So I was brought up in a little Yankee town, about 50 houses, East Dorset, Vermont. All right, that's where Bill was born, Vermont. I was born under the shadow of a mountain there called Mount Aulus. I'm probably saying that wrong. An early recollection is one of looking up and seeing the vast and mysterious mountain and wondering what it was and whether I could climb that high. But I was presently distracted by an aunt who, as a fourth birthday present, made me a plate of fudge. Ooh, fudge. For the next 35 years, I pursued the fudge of life and quite forgot about the mountain. He found something bigger than the mountain, or so he thought, and he thought it was fudge, right? I understand that. I understand pursuing something that made me feel really good at that particular moment. The first time I drank around other people and suddenly I was popular and well, I wasn't popular, that's what I thought. But people were talking to, oh, look, Dion can drink a lot, and look, and I act different when I drink, right? So then I started to come out because I had some liquid courage, right? And that moment was so important to me at 13 years old that I would pursue that moment for the rest of my time, and that's what he's talking about here. He forgot about the mountain, and went for the fudge. That's what I did. When I was 10, I went to live with my grandfather and grandmother. They were wonderful old-fashioned Yankees, a breed nearly extinct today. I was tall and gawky. I felt pretty bad about it because the smaller kids could push me around in quarrels. I remember being very depressed for a year or more, and then I began to develop a fierce resolve to win. I resolved to be a number one man. I understand this also. I get this part also because I was pushed around a lot, and because I was pushed around a lot, because I was picked on a lot. I when I found alcohol, I became a little bit more dangerous, and I came up with the resolve not to be necessarily number one, but for vengeance. And this is 13, 14 years old. I remember sitting in my fifth grade class, wondering how I was going to kill everybody in the class. I was daydreaming. I didn't follow through on it. I wouldn't have done, no. But I thought about it. That's dangerous stuff, man. That's kind of sick in the head. And only I get to say that. Somebody earlier called me a bunch of names, told me, they thought it was okay to diagnose me. So anyway, my father came along one day with a book and he said, "This is all about Australia." Actually, I remember this story now. It says that nobody but an Australian bushman knows how to make and throw a boomerang. Oh, I thought to myself, here's my chance. And I bet he was saying he was bored. So his grandfather's like, here, I bet you can't make a boomerang. Right? Oh, I thought to myself, here's my chance. I will be the first man in America to make and throw a boomerang. Well, any could have had that notion like that. It might have lasted 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks, but mine was a power drive that kept on for 6 months. I did nothing else during all that time but whittle on those infernal boomerangs. I sawed the headboard out of my bed to get just the right piece of wood, and out in the old workshop at night by the light of the lantern, I whittled away. And finally, sure enough, I made a boomerang that swung around the churchyard in front of the house and almost hit my grandfather in the head when it came back. Huh. Look at the obsession already. He's 10 years old and he gets obsessed about things. This is alcoholism. This is alcoholism. And sometimes we will get obsessed on other things, like looking for the bad in other people all the time. That can become an obsession. I had somebody trying to stalk me earlier from a post. Gosh, they didn't write back. Weird. I told him if you want to talk crap, I'd be happy to meet up with him. Yeah. But no, he wants to sit at home on his mom's couch. See, all you got to do is stick up to a bully. They'll usually back down. Anyway, I'm sure you really give a shit about that stuff. Emotionally, I had begun the fashioning of another sort of boomerang, one that almost killed me later on. In that early period, I had to be an athlete because I was not an athlete. I had to be a musician because I could not carry a tune. I had to be the president of my class in boarding school. I had to be the first in everything because in my perverse heart, I felt myself the least of God creatures. Now, here's part of the problem. Um, Bill, I believe, was an only child, the way he's making it sound. I think he might have had a sister. Let's find out because I'm seeing a pattern here. And the pattern is that Bill, there's a thing called the dysfunctional family, and I think Bill might have been all of them. The hero, the scapegoat, the lost child, and the guy that makes all the jokes, right? Um, did Bill W have siblings? A sister, yes. Dorothy.
Bill W had two sisters.
And a half sister named Helen. Okay. So I'm wrong on my synopsis there, right? Emotion had begun the fashioning of another sort of boomerang, one that almost killed me later on. In that early period, I had to be, I read all that. Okay. I had to be the first in everything because my perverse heart, I felt myself the least of God's creatures. I could not accept this deep sense of inferiority, and so I did become captain of the baseball team. I did learn to play the fiddle well enough to lead the high school orchestra, even though I was terribly bad. It was a terribly bad band. I was the leader, and I must lead, or else. So it went, all or nothing. I must be number one. I didn't quite go through it to that extreme. I was never really well, I did, in a way I did. I decided to become the best alcoholic that I could be. Because the way I saw it was, if you're going to call me an alcoholic, then I will show you. I will show you. So I get it. All right, we're going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Then the scene changed in boarding school. I was very successful. I felt secure with grandfather's liberal allowance and with the love and respect of my schoolmates. I was somebody substantial and real, and life lacked only one ingredient: romance. Oh, gotta have the girl. Gotta have the girl. Not complete without the girl. Yep. Then came the minister's daughter, and in spite of my awkward adolescence, things were complete. I had romance, security, and applause. I was ecstatically happy. Then one morning, I want to get, we're going to finish this page because I want to hear about Lois. Then one morning, the school principal appeared with a sad face and announced that my girl had died suddenly the night before. Oh, shit. Wow. I dropped into depression that lasted for 3 solid years. And that tells me that Bill loves deeply, that he had a deep, deep love for people. Maybe, and maybe a little misguided in the beginning. But I think all alcoholics are misguided in love until we are taught different. At least this one was. Yeah, poor guy. I did not graduate from school. I was unable to finish because I could not accept the loss of any part of what I thought belonged to me. Now he says that, and it just makes me think, well, was he being very selfish about it? I know for me that when I get into those things, my selfishness can really come out. Absolutely, it can. But what about me? And yeah. So then it came along Lois, and I was suddenly alive again, a going concern once more. There was one girl in particular. She broke my heart. Right. I moved out. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I was pretty depressed for a little bit. It wasn't until another cute girl came along and literally said, well, I'll get rid of that for you. See, it was just wrong. It wasn't going to work. And sure, it covered it up for a little bit, and I forgot about that girl eventually, and the pain went away. But really what I was doing, just utilizing another person to make me feel better about me. That's really all it was. And gosh, that wasn't fair to them. I didn't know how to be honest about it either. And that is the insanity, right? We married during the World War, and I was a young officer at New Bedford. There we were projected among the society folk of the town. For the first time in my life, I saw a butler. Again, came the terrible feeling of inadequacy, that shy inability to speak more than 2 or 3 words in a row. It was overwhelming. But one night, someone handed me a Bronx cocktail. Yeah. I know exactly what it was, because this happened to me. I was extremely shy until this happened. Right. Liquor had killed, someone handed me a Bronx cocktail. Liquor had killed off a lot of my relatives, and I had been repeatedly warned against it. Still, I took this first drink, and then another and another. Oh, what magic! I found the elixir of life. Down went the strange barrier that had always stood between me and people around me. My new companions drew near to me, and I drew near to them. I was part of life at last. I could talk easily. I could communicate. Here was the missing link. Oh my God, he is reading my mail. I feel this to the bone. All right. So we're talking about entering a new dimension, right? And it is all these things that we go through. Look how things are building up. And you can even see in the beginning how Bill had some alcoholic tendencies, right? That's why I believe that, I kind of believe that I was born with this disease, all right? Let's read this one more time and we'll wrap up. In the late stages of our drinking, the will to resist has fled. Yet when we admit complete defeat and when we're become entirely ready to try a principle, our obsession leaves us and we enter a new dimension, freedom under God as we understand Him. Right? And isn't that what the book is all about? The book is there to show you how to find a higher power that will work for you so that you can live a happy and sober life. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And have a day. Oh, that's not how we end. Uh-oh. And keep on.